What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? In today's video, we are covering the full variation of the Italian. So it starts off with white and black. White plays e4, black plays e5, knight f3, knight c6, followed up with bishop c4. Okay, this is called the Italian game. So from here, there's two main variations that are played. There's one that's just called knight f6, and I prefer, though, bishop c5. But we'll go over the knight f6 variation here. The two knights versus the Italian game here. So for this position here, there's a thing called the fried liver attack. So the fried liver attack is knight to g5 here. And I want you guys to pause the video and see what the threat is on f7. So the threat is knight takes f7 here, forking the queen and the rook here on h8 and d8. So how black stops this is the move d5 here. d5 stops it all. So after e takes d5, now I want to talk about this next move. This next move is if knight takes on d5. This is a bad move, actually. This is a mistake. Because white can actually sacrifice the astonishing knight on f7. Now, after white sacrifices the knight on d7, the king has to take back because it's forking the queen and the rook. So he takes back, and then again, I want you guys to pause for this next move. The next move is queen to f3 here. Queen to f3 puts pressure on the king and the knight again, since it has two attackers. So the wrong move in this situation, which isn't really seemed super common, but can sometimes still happen, is king to g8. Now this is an absolute blunder and just loses the game. Because after king g8, you take with the queen, you deliver a check, he takes back, you take the queen, and then his only move, since he can't come here because of the bishop, is bishop e6. And then you take, and it's mate. So that is the fried liver attack. And if, again, if white, or if black does not play king to g8, and we can also turn on the analysis, the best move is king to e6. Bringing out the king to support the knight. But then the next move here, I'm going to turn this off, is knight to c3. Now, knight to c3 is really good, again, because it's doing one of two things. It's developing a piece into a game, and it's putting even more pressure on to the king in this knight here on d5. This knight is cooked. It's cooked. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, after knight c3, what's the number one move here, is knight to b4. This is the last thing you can do to stop this. And after knight b4 here, the simple move, according to Stockfish, is just to castle. And it's to get our king safe, maybe rook e1, maybe get ready since the king is on e6. It's in the middle of the board. And also it's doing this so then he can't take this and fork us here. So after we go here, c6 is apparently the next best move, protecting the knight. And then after c6, it's d4, pushing for the center. Now, if he takes, this is bad, actually, because I deliver a check on e1. I have so much counterplay here. Now, if he goes here, I go, oop, I did not mean to do that. If he goes here, I just go bishop f4 and give a check. Now, if he takes, again, that is not a good move because now he can take back and then he has to go king c5, bringing the king up all the way from e8 to c5. And now we can go rook e5, check, and notice the eval bar here is white is up 6.0 here. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into this variation here because this is really, really all unlikely to be happening if you are under the rating of 1,000. This is not going to be all happening, and every single move here, unless you're playing a cheater here, this all these moves are not going to be played in the game. These are all number one moves here by black and white. Um, but if you are under the rating of 1,000, these are probably never going to happen unless you are playing a cheater. Um, but again, from there we learned the knight takes here. So the next move here is, again, how I talked about knight takes d5. This is not a good move. It's actually considered a mistake because of the sacrifice. And the sacrifice, actually, now if we can see, it's a brilliant move. Right here, knight takes f7 is a brilliant move. So instead of taking back, the best move for black to go is knight a5. And then it's bishop e5 check. And then c6. And then takes, and then it's b takes c6 here. Now you might be thinking, white is up, but no, the eval bar is only favoring white 0.3, which is pretty much nothing. So after this, it's you just go back to d3 here. Actually, this is really, really interesting. I don't know why Stockfish likes this, actually. I don't really like this move, to be honest. It's kind of covering up his d3 square here, knight c3, so on and so on. But this is a very, very interesting move here. But yeah, and then it's knight d5. So knight d5 right here is these again. These are all theory. This is all just theory. Now it's a pretty tied up game here. There's nothing that's absolutely like killing each other. There's nothing that's really going on. It's all theory. Um, but again, none of this is gonna happen if your opponent, unless your opponent is super familiar with the Italian and super familiar with the knight f6 variation here. So another variation is called the Giuoco piano game. Now the Giuoco piano game is, again, bishop c4 starts the Italian. This is the Italian, okay? The Giuoco piano game is when he mirrors and goes bishop c5. This is the Italian, or the Giuoco piano game. I'm sorry. So the main line is c3 followed up by d4 here, pushing for the center and taking and getting these two pawns in the center. Now in chess, the number one thing that you want to do is keep your king safe and have control of the center and have your minor pieces developed. Those are your three things that are very, very important in beginner chess, is getting your king in a safe position, having the center, and having your minors developed. So those are three quick tips for you guys that are rated less than 1,000. So after bishop c5 here, the Giuoco piano game, c3, usually your opponent will follow up with knight f6 here. Now, knight f6 is, again, this is all theory, so white follows up with d4, the original plan. Now, e takes d4 is the number one move. Now, according to Stockfish, it doesn't like taking back on d4 here. The reason why is because if he takes back, bishop b4 is check. Okay. And then we got knight b3, knight b2, knight d2, I'm sorry. And then as soon as he takes and takes, knight takes e4, and black is now up a pawn. And the eval bar is totally even here but says that now a black is up a pawn. And now if they try for this trick here, where they go queen to e2, it's actually a terrible mistake. Because the reason why, I'm going to turn this analyze off, the reason why this is a mistake is because black has this astonishing move that covers the black's knight and attacks the bishop on c4. Now this move is d5. d5 is actually a great in this position, and it'll say that it is a great move. So d5 is a really, really good move because it's letting out the bishop, it's attacking the bishop, it's protecting the knight, it's doing three things, which is that's a ton. So just to follow up here, d5, if any of you guys are playing against Italian players that play this a lot, or if you want to learn the Gioco Piano game, well, this is it. This is the Gioco Piano game. So all of you fellows that you want to play this or whatever, try this if you want, okay? So usually, again, I talked about how White's number one move here is not taking back. It's actually going to e5 here. It's actually going to e5. And now I played someone, I think this was back on Thursday. And as soon as I played e5, my opponent played knight g4 here. And according to Stockfish, and I knew when my opponent played knight g4 here, that this was a mistake. This was a brutal mistake. I knew from the start, and the better move in this situation was d5 here, ignoring the knight, threatening this, having more control of the center here, ignoring this. Now, if he takes, we can check the number one move here. You just take back, and now black is actually up 0.7 in this position. So again, my opponent, if you are playing someone that isn't familiar with e5 and your opponent plays knight g4 and they freak out, oh, their knight's being attacked, 800 elo chess here, then you simply just take. You simply just take here. Now look at this. White is up 1.14 here. The point that this is so good for for white, is because he has a major control of the center here. 2 pawns in the center, very, very good chess. Very good chess. We've learned this from the start here, that you want the center, again, like I talked about earlier. So the reason why, again, this is so good is because your knight's free, your bishop's free, you're able to castle. Now, if we turn the board around here and we play black's perspective here, whose position would you rather have, black or white? And be honest. And I know a ton of you are going to say white, again, because of this center here building up, and we can always push this knight out. This knight is not a threat here. We can just go h3 and kick it out. And then he has to go knight h6, take here, doubled pawns. It's really, really bad for black here. It's incredibly bad. So if we play this variation where he goes knight g4 here, we just simply take back. And now if they give a check, we just block knight c3. I'm going to turn this off again. Now, again, if he takes this, it's not good. That's even way worse for him. We got three pawns right here. It's a pawn chain right here. I want to talk about this. 3 pawns, and it's a pawn chain, and black's pawn on d7 hasn't even moved. His bishop is trapped. He isn't castled. His knight is on g4. We can easily just kick that out. Like, it's terrible for black. It's just absolutely terrible. So, again, for all of you Gioco Piano players that, again, want to try this, Never go knight g4 here. Never go knight g4. That's the worst move that you can do. The better move, again, like I said, was to go d5 and try to infiltrate here and take control of the center. Now, after he went knight g4, I instantly knew that he should have went d5. I instantly knew that. And after he didn't, I punished him. You gotta punish your opponents for not playing the correct moves. So I punished my opponent. So anyway, getting a little off topic here, but that is the Joko piano game. Now, again, if we want to get a little bit more deep, some players, some players will also just go d3 here. D3 is not bad, just theory. Now here and then c3. And also, this is fine. You don't have to push for d4 here. You don't have to. This is fine. This is fine. I prefer to push on d4, but some grandmasters like to just push on d3 and I don't know, and castle up, you know. But anyway, usually they will maybe castle up in this position. We can check the analyze. So a6 is actually the number one move here. I'm actually really surprised. A6 is really good, so he can retreat the bishop, apparently. Retreating the bishop is really important in case we go like here. He can retreat the bishop and still have this long diagonal on our king, and we would be castled. But that is the two variations of the Italian game. Now, let me know in the comments which variation are you guys going to play? Is it going to be the two knights? The three knights variation? Sorry, the three knights variation? Or are you going to play the Joko piano game? What's it going to be, guys? What's it going to be? So that is actually it for today's video. Get out of here.